a tiny it is.
That girl, your sister, or
The Tibetan Alliance of Chicago is a pocket of multicultural identity amidst the hustle-bustle of Chicago. Evanston, a suburb in the north of the city, is now home to over 400 Tibetans, coming together from a plethora of migration paths spanning Tibet, Nepal, India, and the United States. The community hosts Sunday school Tibetan classes for children, preserving knowledge shared by the experiences of the older generation. Joyous celebrations of Tibetan holidays are complete with home-cooked food, dancing, and singing. The community creates a home away from home for those who are part of the transnational Tibetan diaspora.
Yeah, my name is Tanzin Kunsong. I'm from Chicago. Oh, you said name and city? No. My name is Tanzin Kunsong. I'm from Chicago. I was born and raised here. My parents immigrated to the U.S. back in 1990. They're originally from India. They were born as refugees. Their grandparents fled from Tibet.
My name is Tenzin Jamyang, and I came to the United States in 1993 with the 1,000 Tibetan settlement project, which was authorized by the United States Congress in 1992.
My name is Tupten Chosang. I came to this country in 1998, September. Came as a tourist visa. Yeah. And when I came here, then I applied for a political asylum because I'm a Tibetan refugee, and it didn't go well. Yeah. But then later, I met my wife, who is an American citizen. So I got married with her, and I got my green card.
I was born in Tibet, and then when I was 9 years, I think, and my parents they escaped from Tibet, and then me and my sister we are left there because my dad is in the prison. And then my dad, he's in the prison for it's a political issues, it's going on in China.
When I was free in Tibet, that was way back in like 1958, and my father was from eastern part of Amdo, so he already know the situation about the Chinese, and then he knew that the Lhasa is under siege, occupation now, totally under Chinese control. So he started planning to escape, and then he said, we got to go. And then my father started putting me on the horseback, and then my mother was pulling my leg. He said, no, I'm not going to send my son. And then my father started arguing, saying, oh, son belongs to father, okay? So I'm taking him. So then he put me on the horseback, escape. All my mother and family all stayed behind.
Tibet maintained its independence for many centuries amidst the Himalayan region of Asia. However, in 1950, with 40,000 Chinese troops moving into Tibet, the region entered a prolonged period of unrest. The following year, the 17-point agreement was put together by the Chinese to establish their authority over Tibet, recognizing and leaving Tibet's initial political system unchanged. Over the next decade, Lhasa, the religious holy city and the political capital, began to overpopulate with Han Chinese coming from the east. Tensions heightened between the Chinese government and the Tibetan population over issues such as religious freedom and autonomy, resulting in large-scale revolts suppressed by Chinese military. In 1959, the Dalai Lama was forced to flee to India for protection, alongside thousands of Tibetans who sought refuge in India.
And then when I was born, I was like a 5 or so. My dad told, like, my dad is like a stubborn very, so he, told the Chinese, the police or like whoever the leader, he said like, I want to keep my daughter with me, in the prison. They said no, you cannot. And then my dad would like always like argue with them, and they said like, bring me the law, that Chinese law that it says like you cannot keep your kids with the parents, Then if you have a law like that, you can bring it, and then I listen. Otherwise, there's no law. He knows like there's no such law like that.
To this day and for the foreseeable future, members of the Tibetan diaspora face the challenge of reuniting with their families remaining in Chinese Tibet. Their cultural roots have been planted around the world, primarily in India, Nepal, and more recently in France, Germany, Switzerland, Canada, and the United States.
We had an amendment to the Legal Immigration Act of 1990, which was introduced by Congressman Barney Frank, that provided 1,000 immigrant visas for Tibetan refugees living in India and Nepal, and it passed both houses in the Senate. It was signed into law. That is an enormous victory because it is a recognition of the separateness of Tibet.
Though separated by distance, many Tibetans in exile remain connected to their people's efforts by participating and leading events abroad supporting Tibet.
As a Tibetan refugee, I always consider myself that I have a job here, I have a responsibility. Wherever there is a Tibetan protest going on, wherever there is a Tibetan issue, I always like to go and participate, because this is one thing that we all Tibetan as a refugee, that we should do it. I feel like we should do it. And for example, like every year we go in front of Chinese embassy, we go and protest for the uprising day on 10 March, and I never try to miss you. I never miss you.
We had, before we left, we had a special audience with His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and he talked a lot. I don't remember that, a lot of the talks, but the basic thing he said was that you are going to a new country as an ambassador, and then individually I was able to do a walk for Tibet from Indianapolis to St. Paul, Minnesota, and that lasted for 1 month, I think, close to 1 month. We covered 600 miles. And then also we were able to do a walk for Tibet in Taiwan in 2010. And I've done 3 walks, and there was another one in 2005 from Bloomington to Chicago, I think. Bloomington, Indiana to Chicago. All of those walks I walked with nephew of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and these walks have really inspired me to think more of as more like a human being than just like individually, like I have lost kind of like view me as an importantness. I just kind of lost that doing all these walks. You feel like you want to do more, support, help more, and so I was able to. It kind of opened up my mind a little bit more in terms of like looking at life a little bit differently.
have, in fact, another lady who have, you know, a lot of friends and relatives, or even mother in Tibet. She's from central part of Tibet. She was just now, today, she was taking pictures of the kids singing. She only had to take the pictures when there is no Dalai Lama photo, when there is no Tibetan flag. So today we don't have any Dalai Lama photo there on the stage, no Tibetan flag. So she was safe enough to take the pictures and post it in her family contacts. You see, that's what we just discussed. She was taking. She said, today I can take picture and post on my family contacts because there's no Dalai Lama photo, no Tibetan flag. What happened was in 1989, His Holiness visited in Madison, Wisconsin, and 89, and he gave one teaching there. So I went there, and then, you know, they had like this gathering, and they asked, you know, any Tibetans, all Tibetans should come to one of the families who have been there for some time, and they get together. And when we get to there, what happened was I met a Tibetan woman who happened to be from Chicago, and she was like 5-6 years before me. So that's how I met her. So we were only two Tibetans. She was the first one and I was the second one.
And then, so they call these people sponsors who are helping our parents. So all the sponsors found apartments for all of our parents in the same apartment building. So back in 1990, every single Tibetan lived in the same apartment building called 5200 Sheridan. And that's on Foster and Sheridan. So they all lived in the same apartment building. So everyone is really tight-knit, especially because they didn't know anybody at all. So they only had each other. So eventually people started making more money, moving out into the suburbs, getting houses.
Yeah, it's like I think people are getting more assimilated, so now like their connections are like not just Tibetan, it's like everyone else in this country. So that's why it's harder for people to kind of come together as often, right?
Yeah, I think you guys know the community center is probably the biggest thing we have to kind of connect and see each other and stay connected. And growing up for us, Sunday class was huge. So we had to go to Sunday class. I mean, our parents made us go to Sunday class every Sunday to learn like Tibetan writing and reading, and then doing Tibetan dances.
I think my granddaughter only speak the good Tibetan, understanding Tibetan language. The reason being we always speak Tibetan at home. And I also asked my daughter and son-in-law, even today, that they have to speak all the time Tibetan. So that way, if your language your mother tongue is not lost, that is another one great, to preserve your own identity, Tibetan, as a Tibetan,
I think language is the backbone of any culture that needs to be sustained or to be preserved. And here in the United States, as there are various Tibetan community centers, and they have Sunday schools, and Tibetan language is being taught during those weekends, with the hope that the younger generations will keep and preserve the language, preserve this very rich ancient language.
Yeah. Ta, 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 ta.
I have one boy. His name is Tenzin Trinen. He was born in New York. Now he's 13, so he learned lots Tibetan language like reading, writing, and plus dance, and he know play Tanyan very well. Yes.
For the next generation of Tibetans living in the U.S., what guidelines would you want them to follow to preserve the Tibetan identities?
That's the big question. Yeah. I think everyone's so scared. It's just so hard to balance because you come to this country. Our parents are coming to this country for us to get a good job, and in order to get a good job, you have to assimilate into this culture, right? And be able to speak English while.
It's kind of challenging because it's that aspect of you being if you're more educated, you understand hey, you gotta understand other cultures. That's how you become open-minded and more accepting of other people, right? And when that happens, they might assimilate into something else, right? So there's that aspect, right? It's a kind of a double-edged sword, where a lot of the older people here will emphasize preserving the culture, but it's then if you do that, really do that, you kind of have to almost in a way seclude yourself in certain aspects, right? So it's kind of challenging that aspect.
Kids, they're becoming very, very well educated in terms of modern civilization. But then on the other hand, culturally, the importance of being a human and taking a responsibility of whatever they're doing every day, that I think is sometimes worries me, So they have good and bad both. And if you have to become something and you tell the kids that you can become whatever you want, if they take it in a good way, then it kind of works. But if they take it in a different way, then they become centralized, the idea of they becoming the power of whatever they want to do, and that's the most important thing. When you give that idea to the kids, everything has to be their way, and that's why if you see the social experience when you go out, people, everything has to be for themselves, and if something doesn't work out, they flip out. That's the main reason, because they grew up in this idea from their childhood, from the school, from the parent, everything. Oh, this is so. Nobody is more important than anybody. Everybody is important. Everybody is a human being. And so why it has to be your kid so important? Why other kids are not important? Why other countries are not important? Everybody is important.
This community means everything to me because this is the place that I want to come here on weekends when I don't have anything to do, because here when I come I feel all this satisfaction here, helping all these elders and kids and taking care of the community job. This year I am a vice president of the current members. So I have to do this year, and next year we have a different house they will take care of the everything here. So that's how it works. And helping here, coming here, meeting with the Tibetan people, this is the way to preserve our culture, Yeah, we speak here in Tibetan language, and we eat a Tibetan food, and our kids can come here, they can communicate in Tibetan language, yeah. But most of the time they speak in English, but still, they come here, and then it's kind of, it's very nice. I feel very, very happy here, coming here and meeting all these elder people, young people, kids, and helping here.
So we are like from India, so my husband cooks more Indian style. So, but then we cook like a Tibetan food too. So he eats everything like.
It's very multicultural.
Yeah, multicultural. Yeah. Then like mostly like protein food, dal, rajma. We made those. And Wednesday we don't eat meat because it's like His Holiness days. So try not to eat meat on a Wednesday. So Wednesday is like my rajma day, like every the schedule. So others like I don't know, rajma is the beans, right? So beans, yeah. And then the lentils and then the meat too. Like we eat meat. I drink cold water, but then like when I get cough or something like that, sometimes we like to mix the ginger lemon and the hot water like those. I don't know, chinta, do you know? I don't know the name. Yeah, it's kind of a tea, like put the tea and then, it's in a Chinese version. It's called chinta, but then it's kind of a tea. So we just put the tea and the hot water and take it. Yeah.
So we are what we eat, we are what we do, and most problems are from the improper diet and unwholesome lifestyle. And so if we can change or modify the dietary which are harmful to our health, and also which are the causative factor of the problem, so through that change, through that adjustment, so the person can bring a kind of balance in the health.
Food is not only a central part of the culture, but also a profound insight into the traditional Tibetan health practices. The concept of preventative practice is fundamental to Tibetan medicine. By looking at the human body in a holistic manner, Tibetan medicine suggests maintaining healthy routines to prevent sickness before they happen, and targeting the roots of disease rather than only the symptoms for treatment. The practice involves understanding how health is not only one's body, but rather a coexistence of the physical and the spiritual that affects one's overall health and well-being.
Let's say you have a headache and there's a medicine here, and you say, oh, I have a headache, and then you take the medicine, drink, right? Whatever. And then you are okay all of a sudden. Now, if you think about it, your headache is not because of you being you. Your headache is because of how and why it happened. And so if you go back to why did you have a headache? Oh yeah, I didn't sleep yesterday well. Oh, why did you sleep yesterday? Oh, because I lost like so much money in the stock market the other day. And all of a sudden, oh yeah, my family, I have an issue with my family, this and that. Then comes the point is, how do you handle everyday stress?
Good.
Your business okay?
Business?
Yeah.
Okay.
How about your husband?
Oh, I thank you for pills.
Oh, you need help?
No, yes, better.
Thank you.
But
So Did he go to Russia?
Yes.
He's in Russia now?
No, she come back.
He come back, oh.
One day ago.
My name is Yang Bumgyel. I was born in Tibet and grew up there and studied Tibetan medicine in my hometown. And then I was graduated from the medical school there and I worked in a newly opened clinic for half a year. And then I was able to come to India and studied again in the Tibetan Singh, the Tibetan Medical and Archaeological Institute, and then graduated and worked for 10 years in the branch clinics of the Singh in India and Nepal. Alexi.
Yeah, right.
Western medicine focuses on pathology and after disease, on the disease and on the symptom, whereas Tibetan medicine focuses on the physiology and the prevention. And it is a science. Also, the Tibetan medicine system describes the relationship between the body and the mind and the environment, the climate and the environment where we live, and also ecological system, and exploitation of the forest and natural disaster, of course, affect our human body and health. And so in that kind of relationship, Tibetan medicine also kind of science, and also then also religion part. And so because Tibetan medicine also very much kind of intertwined with Buddhist philosophy like love, compassion, altruism, and karma. There are 80 medical paintings. These were made in the 17th century during the 5th Dalai Lama and the Sangye Jamso. Of course, to have a clear and knowledge or have a clear picture of the anatomical part of the body, and so of course you have to cut the body and see inside the location of each organ and the bone and the number of bones and the joints.
Something.
Yeah. Where did you hear about it? From a friend or?
No, I just investigated. Nobody told me about it. Yeah. Nice. I know that herbs can be very powerful.
Yeah.
And I personally, I know my mom is a doctor, but she's a regular, very ordinary doctor who gives antibiotics. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, please come. You can sit here.
Here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
You said that no wound.
Yeah.
What I should do with them? Take your pills.
Take my pills. You just do it.
And maybe not sit with bending. I should wear this.
You should wear this.
Okay.
Yeah, you should wear this. Yeah. And you need to lift your leg when you sit at the home. You need to lift. Raise your leg, yes. How about the skin? No, not worse. It's same and not growing, not expanding. And show me your tongue.
What?
Show me your tongue. Okay, thank you.
I'm just almost hungry because company who should.
How about urination? Do you need to go very often, frequent urination? Last time you had?
Now not too often like
Okay,
before.
that's good.
But it feels healthy.
Okay. The bubbles, the color, the cream, the residual.
So you seem to repeat, refill.
Awa 15,
Yes,
Samchung,
yes,
Kunde.
Kunde.
Yeah, Awa 15 for eye, and
Yes.
Samchung for your leg,
Mm-hmm.
your neck pain. So I send you those 3 for a month.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay. Only you. Everybody told me that I will blind until end, and this hope appeared. I see
Manifestation, yes. Because you are a good mother.
What?
You take a good care of yourself.
I don't know.
You do, and
Okay.
you use
But
herbs
of
and
course I'm begin hater, much hater.
you are strong inside, and also you follow the directions, advice, whatever I ask you to take, and also you use herbs.
Thank you.
When diagnosing a patient, Tibetan medical practitioners rely mainly on their 5 senses, in addition to analyzing a patient's lifestyle and struggles that contribute to the advancement of an illness. The first diagnostic method involves pulse reading, when pulses of the organs in one's body are transmitted to the arteries through the blood, allowing the doctor to interpret the message and acquire a clearer understanding of the disease's nature. The second method employs the patient's urine, allowing the doctor to examine blood and urine residue for any pathological imbalances. The third method incorporates a doctor's visual sense by looking at a patient's tongue and identifying possible imbalances in the humors. If the lingering illness alters the balance of the humors, this indicates problems with digestion and other internal processes. If a tongue appears dry and inflamed with an intense red color, it signifies the strength of the wind humor. If the tongue is yellow and is covered in a thick layer, bile is at dominance. Finally, a whitish color and slimy texture hints that the phlegm is at excess.
See, why you need to be healthy? It is not because that you need to be healthy. It's for no reason. You need to be healthy so you can practice, you can study, you can focus, you can do the things what is more important for you and others, this life and next life. That's why you have to be healthy. Nobody has control over what you are, who you are right now, and what was your previous life and what's your future life. Based on Tibetan Buddhism, nobody has control over.
And Buddhist philosophy also discuss about the consciousness and the life itself never stops. There's no disconnection between the body and the mind, and the mind continues. Even though there's a kind of time, mind leaves the body when someone dies, but still there's a period, there's no kind of disconnection, but eventually it take another form of life.
In addition to serving as the basis for Tibetan health practices, Tibetan Buddhism is present in the lifestyles of all Tibetans. Central to the philosophy is the belief of karma, the idea that one's actions play a role in determining one's future. Reincarnation is the cycle of life, where one's soul is reborn into the world in different forms based on one's karma. This cycle continues until the soul reaches nirvana, or enlightenment. Tibetan Buddhism is practiced in many forms, including prayer and meditation, as a community and in private.
I do practice, daily practice at my work. I have some books in my memory, and when at my work, when I'm working, I'm visualizing step by step, and I recite some mantra, and I'm taking practice every day. It's developed my mind a little bit. It's better. By day, you will see your mind's improvement. Really, it's a conscious. Whatever problem we got, we can solve by self. It's really good. Yeah. I encourage anybody can learn more Buddhism if they want live happily and less problem and less stress. Practice Buddhism. Yeah, really. Yes.
It would not be enough to describe Tibetan Buddhism as only a religious practice, as Tibetan Buddhism is inseparable with the lifestyles and principles with which Tibetans lead their life.
I do see prayers all the time. I go to temple, I go to wherever I go, if there is anybody just around, we go there. So it has become a way of life rather than the religion as such. The way it has become a way of life for the Tibetans. The way we do everything we do in our daily life is somehow revolved around the understanding of Buddhism. And the way we walk, the way we talk, the way we eat, the way we look at the other animals, everything. So I think it's a very important part of our life. Without knowing that you are actually practicing the core values of the Buddhism.
You don't really need to go to centers and all that. So if you have a teacher, you can go and get teachings, right? But you can always practice at home, every now and then. Tibetan way of practicing is not necessarily that you have to be in a monastery. But you can always, as early morning you wake up, you can do your prayers, every now and then you can do your prayers, practice, The most important thing is, like His Holiness always teaches, you should not, even you can't help, but do not harm others.
There's like thousands of chapters the Buddhism book, but all combining meant to 2 points. It's like, emptiness and love and compassion combined together, given practice. That's the best thing to do with the Buddhism. Anybody can do this. There's no discrimination. Anybody can take that practice. If they can, it's really hard,
What you are right now, you look at your life right now, or what you want in your future life, you look at your action. And that explains everything. Because if you're kind and if you're compassionate and if you're caring for people, you're doing the right thing and you're thinking about more spiritual, your next life, it takes a formation of that right now. But those things are not anybody has control over but you. We take the life and we bring that karma with us, and then that's why the being understand this mind we have is to understand why these things are happening this way. Why we have to ask these questions ourselves, because your question is the answer. Actually, it's all your body, your mind, your spirit. Everything is karma related. Everything happened because of your previous life's karma.
Example, if you have a digestive problem, you see a doctor. The doctor diagnose differently, maybe.
So they come from different places.
Not mistaken, but sometimes giving to prescribe medicine differently, so you don't get any help. Then you go to another doctor. Oh, that is very simple. Just the digestion problem. Take this and use that. You get help, and then you see that kind of doctor, karmic doctor.
I see. Okay. So it's not dependent on a doctor, actually. If your karma is there, your fate decides you to see the right doctor.
Yes, fate and karma. Yes, those two go together.
We have this human life, and we have a capability to see and feel everything what really is going on. And so we need to utilize this power. When I say power, I don't mean in a way to creating this or creating that or making this or doing that. What I mean by power is understanding the mind and then working towards how lucky we are to have this life and to do and feel and learn whatever we can. I'm not talking about making rockets. I'm not talking about going to the Mars. Those things are nothing. Going to the Mars is not important. Why? You know why? Because the universe itself, it grows and it gets destroyed naturally. So according to Elon Musk, the humanity will move to Mars. You know what happened in Mars? Let's say hypothetically it happens. We move to Mars. What's happening here will exactly happen in Mars. Guess what? Then we have to look for another planet. Right? This cycle never ends. And that is why the energy, the power we have, it is best put into developing the mind while we can. Because if your mind, if you're not paying attention to that, nothing really matters. Culture really doesn't matter. Country really doesn't matter. Boundaries. A lot of the things what we see is made important by somebody else.
And gentlemen, please give them a big hand and enjoy the dance from the roof of the wall, Tibet.
fighting for?
Yeah, there's some.
Oh, that is because of the politician.
Yeah.
That's all. I am not a politician person. I have 5 kids. You know, I raised them. That's all I have to say. I love Chinese. They are human beings. You know, like us. That's all I have to say. I love Chinese. All human beings is the same way.
I mean, every culture is important part of this world. His Holiness say we all are same. You know, 2 eyes, 1 nose, all. But we all are human beings. We all belong to 7 billion, part of the 7 billion. So any culture which is almost dying is sad. I agree. Not only Tibetan culture, it's all other cultures, minority cultures. Like you see the Native Americans, it's very sad. It's like it's totally disappearing or destroyed. So, well, Tibet, you know, put that way, when Americans start saying, you know, you destroy Tibetan culture, then they start backfiring with the Americans by China saying, what you did to the Native Americans. So there's not much to say too. You know, that kind of thing. I think, you know, it's important, every culture, you know, it belongs to this world, to this community, the entire world. I mean, I like it, all cultures with presentation here, and I pay attention. It's not my own culture that I need to be proud of. I need to be proud of all other cultures.
자, 보인다. 고목하자. 공가 야오다. 전성하고서 보인다. 보도 부직 분이 무슨 무시 부직 결로도 뭔데야 쇼 계란 쇼 자 Kunga Temo.
Yesterday.
What?
Kunga said F word.